Big Podcast.
How much money are you paying for your recording software? I have thought about this a lot because I am paying nothing. Well, for one of them, about $30 a month. But imagine if that was your only option. I've been doing this for 20 something years, $360 a year, it starts to add up about $6,000 or $7,000. So that's a lot of money saved. If you can switch to free, you might be able to do that right now because Audacity 4 is out. We are talking about it. This is Big Podcast Playbook. This is a podcast to help you build your audience, grow your podcast, make a podcast that counts, make more money with your podcast. And yes, Audacity 4, it is out, sort of. The beta 2 version is out. I am recording on it right now. If I sound a little bit different, it is not just Audacity that is making me do that. It is because I'm going straight into an SM57 mic by Shure. About $100, $109 right now. That and the SM58, a good standard entry-level mic, into a Vocaster 1. I do have a cloud lifter on it, so that's optional, $100-something for that. But a $59, $69 interface, that's the Vocaster 1. Into Audacity 4 after that. So a bare bones podcasting setup. I wanted to play around and see what this was like. If you're curious, there are some major differences between Audacity 4 and Audacity, the previous version, 3.7.8. Interface looks different. This one looks more like Pro Tools than actual Audacity. You can switch over to the old kind of boring colors, but this is very colorful. I'm recording on an orange track now. If I were to go to a second, third, fourth track, it's going to be green, red, blue, yellow. I mean, it's a very colorful interface. It's not bad. The standard Audacity effects that you've been using, they are still there. One of the great things about the last couple of versions of Audacity is that you can use VST effects. If you don't know what those are, basically plugins that are going to work with Adobe Audition. They're going to work with Pro Tools. They're also going to work with Audacity. So that's nice. Some of the changes you're going to see here, they've got envelope editing, which if you don't know what this stuff is that I'm going to go through, disregard it. Not necessarily important for a one-man, two-man podcast. You can label tracks, which is nice if you want to mark sections, chapter points, kind of keep an idea of what it is that you're editing so you know where things are. For example, let's say you had a guest who said something great at the beginning of your podcast episode. You actually dived into the topic a little bit deeper later in your podcast episode. Move this to the back. Here's what the topic is. It's going to help your editing out a little bit. Spectral editing, not really needed, in my opinion, for just a standard spoken word podcast, but it can be nice. For example, you might be able to hear the background noise behind me now. I'm doing this in my office. It is not a soundproof room. And if a fire engine were to come by, which sometimes happens, I'm near a fire hall, I could edit that out with very little effect on my voice. Spectral editing is just a fancy way to do editing. If you don't know about it, don't worry about it, but it's an option to you. It has cloud projects, which is nice. So if you're recording something, you've got an editor somewhere else that's doing the editing, pop this thing up into the cloud. You can work on one part of it. Your editor's working on one part of it at the same time. And it's going to be like a Google Docs kind of thing. It is backwards compatible, so your Audacity 3 projects, they will open up in Audacity 4. Again, this is the beta version, beta 2, and the full-on release version, it is coming soon. But until that happens, I would not suggest doing anything that you're going to release, anything that's really important in Audacity 4, unless you're a risk taker. It's probably pretty safe, but you can only record something once. You can re-record, but a totally different moment. This is one of the reasons that I suggest backing up everything that you record. If you're curious how I do that, in my studio, a Zoom F3. It's a field recorder, super simple, one-touch recording, set it and forget it. Levels are automatically adjusted. It is a nice way to back up. There's a metadata editor. I've talked about the effects. I've talked about the plugins. One of the things that's changed, some of the keystrokes have changed. I mean, not really. You can go in and change them back to where they were. For example, I had a zoom in on Apple. I'm going to call it the Apple key. It's not control. Is it called function? Function 1. That was the way to zoom in on something. They had function and then plus. And then to zoom out, I had function, then 3. And they used function, then minus. So that kind of makes more sense. But I've got some old school keystrokes that I've been using for years and years and years. I've been using Audacity, as I mentioned, for 20 something years. I'm not changing now. I do that one in particular with my left hand. I need my right hand for the trackball. you can set it to do something custom like that if you want. But if you don't do anything, and you've got some old keystrokes in there that you used on the 3.7 version or anything before that, that may have changed. Just change it. It's not bad. Is it a little rough around the edges? Yeah, maybe. Maybe it's a newer interface. Does it look cool? Yeah, it looks cool. Are people going to make fun of you as much for using Audacity? Yeah, probably not. It has some cool things that you can do. For example, when you delete a track or part of a track, let's say I mess something up. I say, I want to take that out. When you take it out, it can leave that empty space and it'll just be blank. And you can mess around with the timing all you want. Or what it can do is it can smash that together. That's nice. You've got options and flexibility, the granular things like that. The main reason I'm releasing this episode, one, let you know the Audacity 4 beta is out. And you can get this by going to audacityteam.org/next. It is Audacity 4 beta version 2. And I also wanted to play with it myself. So if you are hearing this, I've successfully recorded and edited an episode of Big Podcast Playbook completely in Audacity. One computer, one program. That is it. Hope you're having a great day. If you have any questions, you can always reach out. bigpodcast.com. That's a way to do it. If you want to subscribe to this podcast to make sure you never miss an episode, back to the normal episodes after this one, the ones that sound maybe a little bit better, ones that have a little bit more compression on it, EQ, the voice you're used to hearing. You can do this by going to bigpodcast.com/subscribe. I've got 3 buttons for you, one for Apple, one for Android, and the third one is an old-fashioned RSS feed. You will find it at bigpodcast.com/subscribe. That's bigpodcast.com/subscribe. Go there now before you forget. And if you just can't get enough of me, I'm putting some stuff on LinkedIn and also my Substack, which is at extra.bigpodcast.com. Regardless of how you get me, or if you get me, at least if you're subscribed, you'll get me on the next episode, and I will see you here soon on Big Podcast Playbook.